Inlace acrylester, a word that will send shivers down the spine of most turners. What is inlace acrylester? Inlace acrylester is a trademark name brand of a line of blanks made out of polyester resin. As opposed to an epoxy resin or alumilite, polyester resin is one of the first resins blank users used, and it's brittle. It's kind of a consistency of bone china, maybe a hardened kiln-fired clay. You can see through the handling the chippage on the edge of all of these blanks. They're brittle. They're also very tough. And I know that's a misnomer to a lot of people, but when you're handling it, when you're diamond painting with it, when you're writing with your fountain pen, they're very durable. They're scratch resistant. They resist chippage. They resist finger marks. They keep a high gloss polish finish for a long time. It's a very nice material. It's a material that yields a very glossy finish. The downside, if you drop this on the floor, it'll shatter like glass. If you have a diamond pen made out of this, and if you drop it on a concrete or tile floor, chances are very good that pen will be broken. In turning, I will not turn these super thin like I will alumilite or even wood. I don't like taking the chance that there's not enough structural integrity to hold it together. If somebody could throw it down on a table or snap it and it would break. And I don't want you to break your pen. I want you to have your pen for many years and enjoy using it. So as a consequence, I will not turn these super thin. How do you turn inlace acrylester? This is a question that's on the social media, on the forums, down through the years. And there's a lot of people are frustrated by it. There's a lot of people leave negative reviews on the vendor sites because of this. And a novice turner, I would not suggest starting out with this medium. It is a hard substance to turn. It's probably one of the more difficult blanks that a turner can turn. Well, you have honeycomb, you have mixed media blanks, seashells, but this one right here is probably turned off more turners, especially novice turners. Although I say that, there are professional turners that won't go near this stuff. How do you turn it? You need patience and you need a sharp tool. I'm going to step aside for a minute. It might surprise a lot of people, especially other turners, to know that these two tools turn probably 99% of everything that we sell, this business related, whether it's special projects, palm placers, anything that we sell out our doors is probably turned with these two different tools. But in fact, they're not different. They're the same tool. That is a CI3 negative rake cutter. Negative rake simply means, and I don't know if I can catch it on video, but the grind, if you can see the shiny edge, it has a different grind on it. It's very safe for turning alumilites and epoxy resin, and especially acrylester. That's the same CI3 cutter on this tool. So why two tools? I use this tool right here, this big one. I use that for truing the blanks, for roughing them out. When a square blank spins on a lathe and those corners come around, they beat against the edge of the cutter. This is my blunt instrument right here. This is my lightweight cutter that I use to shape everything that I shape on a lathe. Now I have the square head, I have the fine diamond heads. In fact, I've got drawers full of high-speed steel. But I always fall back, I always come back to this. This is the cutter that I use. I like the handle, I like the lightweight. It fits my hand. I can use this thing all day. I can turn 20, 30 blanks a day with this thing and I don't get wore out. What I do is when this cutter gets dull, I will trade it and put it on this one instrument. The reason why I say all this is because for this acrylester pen, I'm actually going to put this one aside and I'm going to use this one because it's sharp. In fact, I've already turned probably 20 pens on this new cutter. And it's borderline. I mean, I'm a business. I can't keep changing my cutter out. But for Alumilite, I am going to take the time and I'm going to loosen my screw and I am going to turn the cutter around and hopefully find a nice, fresh, sharp edge. So, with that all said, let's give her a try. Okay, I've changed my cutter. We got it mounted on the lathe. When I close this hood and I start, I want you to pay attention to some of the shrapnel coming off of this that you're going to see in the dust collector. You're going to see chips and chunks flying off of this thing until I get these corners knocked down. And once I get it fairly round and trued up, then you're going to see that I can start shaving. And you're going to see more shavings come off of this. This is where the sharp tool comes in. And I'll explain it as I turn it. I'll talk about it a little bit more. This, by necessity, is going to be a long video. You got to have patience with this. That's the key to turning acrylesters, patience. Very, very light passes. Very light passes, like you were shaving. If I might be a little vulgar here, imagine yourself shaving Mike Tyson's privates. You do not want to rush this and you don't want to dig in. Be very gentle. And you'll see that as the first few passes I make, when this comes down, I am just going to take the slightest shaving off of this until I start knocking this edge down. If you dig in too far, I can tell you right now what's going to happen. This thing's going to explode. All right. Let's give it a try. As I come to the ends, I always push downhill, and I'm starting to round even right now. You don't want to come back and snag. You're avoiding snags at all costs. Very patient, very light pass. Now, I'm starting to get down. I can dig a little bit deeper. Let the edge do the work. Let's stop it. I want to point something out. Hopefully it'll show up where I want it. Actually, I'm doing too good a job at this one. I was going to point out the jagged edges on the flats, but I pretty much got it true, but you can see some chunks there. You don't see it much in the dust collector, but there are fragments. As I'm trying to pull them out, you can see the chunky stuff that's coming off of this. I mean, it's like shards. You can see the chunks. And what you want to avoid is digging in and having big chunks flying off. Very smooth. There's a camera in my way, but rather than leaning the tool like this, you use your body and you sway. And the tool's kept dead on straight and you use your body. experienced turners out there, yes, I'm a righty and I am holding my tool wrong. And I might explain that at some point if there's any interest. Alright, something else when you're turning, you don't want a large gap there to bridge. Always close your tool rest up. I'm pretty much round at this point. That was half the battle right there. Once you got the blank true, you're on safer ground. You're not home free, but you're on safer ground. Getting the thing true is half the battle. Once it's round and smooth, it cuts easier. But again, I can't stress enough, you need a sharp tool. You round over these ends a bit. And you can see from the shavings, I am pushing a bit hard on the ends. I'm removing material. But I am not backtracking and I'm not finding places to snag. I'm being very smooth and pushing downhill. I got a bit of roughness left, but it's almost there. You can hear it if you listen. Right there. Again, very patient. You do not want Mike Tyson to wake up. Okay. There you have it. No blowout, no chips. Now we're ready to go to town on this. We are turning what are we turning? It's a new style 4-bump. So that means we want to find center. And it makes it hard when you already rounded the ends, which is why on Alumilite I leave the ends fairly square and measure first, but you can eyeball it. And the acrylesters tend to be exactly 5 inches. Alumilites tend to be 5 1/4 or so. These are 5 inches, maybe a hair over. But that's going to be close enough right there. So I'm going to find center. One pig sticker right down the middle. Now on this, what I don't want to do is start just going back and forth, because what happens is if you come up on that sharp edge you're creating, you're going to blow a chunk of that side out. You want to go downhill very smooth. Work from one side to the other, sort of like I did in the wood if you watch that video. So I start in the middle, I rock a little bit, but now what I'm doing is I'm grinding that edge down. And I grind that side down. Grind that side, that side. Now, even if I didn't have the shavings there, it would look like I'm going back and forth, but I am minutely lifting. Now, every once in a while, see that sharp edge? This is what I'm talking about. You don't want to hit that, so I'll stop and I'll round that sucker over and get it out of the way. Now if I hit it, chances are better it's not going to blow out. Chances are still that it will blow out, but they're better. Okay, now that's about as small, as thin as I want to go with acrylester. When you order a thin pen, and depending on what the pen looks like, you're not going to get much more than that. Now, I'm going to round over. And notice I'm lifting. Now that it's rounded, now very lightly I'm going to come back and shave uphill. I'm going to shave. Same drill on the other side, round it down. Am I slowing down and exaggerating a bit for the camera? Yeah, but just a bit. The truth of the matter is, I take my time with these blanks. Because if I blow this thing out and I can't use it, that means we buy another blank. And I don't want to lose that money. Especially when it's my mistake. And it does happen, trust me. Most times, I can confidently say, if Carol contacts you and say, oh, the blank broke on the lathe, most times, I would say that it's a vendor problem, a bonding issue, that the blank came apart in the seam, something out of my control. If it's if it's acrylester, and she contacts you and say the blank broke on the lathe, it's probably all on me. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm not trying to make myself out to be a great turner or anything. I'm just trying to stress the fact that it's a difficult material to work with. Again, notice I'm being real slow, real methodical, and real gentle. And what I call a tool strike is when you're not paying attention, you're daydreaming, and you just stick your tool in there anyway and it hits. That's 99% of the time when I blow these things up, it's a tool strike. It's not paying attention and jamming that tool in when I didn't mean to. Every stroke you want to carefully plan out. Alright, I'm going to turn this thing around. I'm going to try to match the other side like I did the first side. Downhill. Use the edge. If I get rid of some of this trash, you can see the contact point. I mean, I'm just barely contacting this thing. Now it's rounded. I can start coming back uphill gently. But I stress gently. I've got a vibration going on there, and that makes it even more difficult. But for whatever reason, the bushing or whatever, but it's got a bit of a vibration going on. Sometimes you can turn that out as you get going, it smooths out. So you hear the scraping. I do not like that. It's not a good sound to be listening to. It feels rough right there too, as far as ridges. I'm creating ridges. And then it will all sand out when I sand it, but that's not the point. I just don't need to blow it out. So I'm going to slow down. When Carol contacts customers and she says, yeah, it was talking to him on the lathe and it just didn't want to go any further, this is the kind of thing. That vibration, it's just not an ideal situation. Work it. Slowly but surely we'll work it. I'm getting close. I still got a little ways to go. I'm starting to compare the two bumps. The heads look good. That one needs to lose a little bit right there. We'll get to that in a minute. Actually, right in there. Now we're getting close. Now we're really in the danger zone because your instinct is to rush it. You do not want to rush it. We're there, folks. We made it. It ain't over. But sanding is actually fun on these blanks. These blanks sand and polish beautifully. And if you stick around, I promise it'll be just another 5 minutes or so. We'll get this thing knocked out. No CA on this, which is why we're going to put it under the title of, I don't know what we're going to call it, but I want to say natural finish, but it's not. It's a polished finish, but it's a non-CA finish. I don't CA these things because there's no reason to. They have a very high luster all on their own. All you do is polish. And the key to that is just to be smooth through every stage of sandpaper and every grit. You just want to work it enough to get all the previous scratches out and smooth the thing out. So you got deep scratches right there, always in the valleys, although the middle looks good. I'm also checking for chips or anything, any kind of damage to the acrylester. If I did see a chip or damage, hopefully it would be shallow enough I could just sand it out. Sometimes if it's a little deeper, you can turn it down a little bit more. Something like this though, it's common to have them crack or chip beyond repair, and you just got to start over. That's just the nature of it. And they will crack. We just recently did a video on removing diamond pen tips. This is a prime candidate for breaking out at the tip. If you were to wiggle this, there's not a lot of meat right there. And the chances are very good you're going to break the end of this out. All right, step it up to the next grit, 240. And again, I'm going to take my time and make sure I get all the previous scratches out. Run a little 400 over it. And we can lose the noise. Okay, I'm going to go back to the 400 with some wet sanding now. I'm going to take my time on this step. I want to polish it as best I can with this. Give it a nice rough polish. Little story. Go back about a decade. When we got Patrick that black rocker lathe over there for Christmas. And we both went out and started turning pens on it and got enthused about it. Here's probably about my third project. Thumbed through the Penn State catalog and found the right kit. I found this pretty blue blank, almost like a Ford Grabber blue. I guess most of you ladies wouldn't know that, but it's a really blue. Pretty blue. I was like, yeah, that's the blank for me. And I bought that blank and planned that pen kit out. And I went to cut it and drill it to put the tube in, and I noticed it was kind of brittle. And I'm like, whoa, that's some hard stuff to work with. I had a little bit of blowout on the ends when I drilled it. Didn't think too much of it though, and got the tube glued in, let it dry for a day or two, and put my pen mandrel on and my bent wobbly pen mandrel on my new imprecise cheap lathe. And I took my dull bowl gouge that needed sharpened and put it in my little novice hands. Turned that thing on, and I stuck that bowl gouge into that blank, and boom, I mean, that thing came apart into 2 million pieces. That's acrylester for you. I didn't let it discourage me, but I can tell you that I was not very happy with Penn State selling that kind of blank. Well, that's how a novice would think, but you know, it's your responsibility to know as a turner what you're dealing with, and I didn't know what I was dealing with. I've turned a lot of acrylester. I've lost a lot of acrylester. I would say if you could go back through the years percentage-wise, the most trouble I've ever had with blanks has been acrylester. And I don't fear it or dread it at this point. It's just another pen to turn. You just take your time, be patient. You know, and if it blows up, and it does happen, you just replace the blank and move on. You can't, it's not a big deal. And they really produce beautiful pens, as you're going to see in just a couple seconds here. As we finish up. I mean, even just with the sandpaper, look at that shine. It's coming together. This is a very pretty blank, this butterscotch. This is a new one on us. I don't know if they've been out forever or if it's a new blend, but I've turned a handful of these in the last 6 months. I'm really attracted to this one. This is a very pretty blank. Love it. All right. Just give it a little bit of a something gave because my blank loosened up on the lathe too. I need to tighten it just a hair, but now what I'm doing, I'm gonna let that dampness evaporate, and I'm just looking. This is a natural polish, like right there. What is that? Is that a scratch? And it's not. That's actually a part of just the dye that came to the surface. I want to make real sure of that though. But you can see the line continues on, and that's just part of the pen. You know, stuff like that will fool you. And if you look in the light, you can see the patterning. You know, and that's just what you're looking at. But you want to make sure there's no scratches. You know, is it done? And if it's not, you just go back through the grits again. Also, you want to look on, especially on acrylester at the ends. Did I create any chippage at the ends? If I did, that's an easy fix. You just take a little sandpaper and you just flatten it down just a hair and get rid of it. But it's nice and smooth and clean. Nothing wrong there. All right, let's put a final polish on this with the McGuire's to see what we got. You can go a little bit faster with the acrylester, probably anywhere like 21, 2200 is probably good. Too fast, it'll smoke and burn though, and you don't want that. Let me tighten this thing down a hair too. I want to put a little bit of pressure on it. as I'm polishing, I'm pinching. Again, like you saw, the last video I'm making was a wood blank, and I did the same thing. I mean, you don't squeeze it to death, but apply enough pressure to polish. I mean, you want to work it. You want to use that polish and work it in. It does pay off in dividends. This is the magic step right here. This is the step that'll transform the pen. It's a little bit hard to see on this one because it's a very light color. But wait till I buff it out with a dry towel. Wait till you see. I mean, this sucker's gonna pop. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that reflection in the light. I love it. For as long as I've been doing this, I still get a kick out of it. There you have it. Look at that. Acrylester. Love it or hate it, it does make a pretty pen.